Welcome. For this video, we are reviewing Jordan Peele's 2019 film Us, starring Lupitanyongo, Winstonduke, and these fabulous kids that worked in here. In the story, we see a young Adelaide going to a theme park with her mother and her father. Her father seems to be under the influence, while her mother seems a bit distant or doesn't seem content where she is. And then we see her mother go into the bathroom, and she doesn't go with her, and her father isn't paying attention. And because of that, she wants Hall of Mirrors, and she sees something that's really shocking in there, but we don't get to see it as the audience. Fast forward, as an adult, Adelaide is now a mother of her own children, and she has a husband, her husband Gabe, and her children Sora and Jason, and they are familying together, and they're very content together. Her husband Gabe, he seems a bit different, but was really fun. You couldn't dislike this character, and probably because Winstonduke is so cool. Probably it was great to see him in here. Great to see him go from a king to just this average guy. And we see them going to the beach, we see them interacting with others, but that's when her son Jason wanders off, and she becomes a bit frantic about this. And then when they go home, she converses with her husband and requests for them to leave. He doesn't seem to even want to go, and when she confides to him about a little girl that she saw when she was young that looked just like her, and how distressed she feels, and how she feels something looming over her, and how something's maybe even coming, he doesn't seem really to believe her. And then we notice the lights go out. Their son Jason makes a comment about something. They see a family outside. When she is upset about it, Adelaide calls 911. He believes they're just going to talk to somebody, and he tries to go out there. They don't really respond, and so he comes back, tries to get a bat, says he got this, and says,
"Now the cops are already on their way. So if y'all want to get crazy, we can get crazy."
They get crazy. They enter the house, and once they enter, goes the whole story and reason behind why they are here. Adelaide's doppelganger tells and explains. She explains how she suffered, and Gabe, being the different and unique person he is, tries to offer different things to her, including money, but they don't seem to want that. They seem to be there for a purpose, and that is distress. So the family separates for a period of time, each having to deal with their own doppelganger, then come back together, somehow escape all their doppelgangers. They try to go to their friends, but it turns out their friends are not there. Instead, it's their doppelgangers. Then Adelaide gets held hostage inside, and we see this little scene with this actress, and I didn't mind her in here one bit. It was very funny. This whole scene made me laugh. I didn't mind it at all. And of course, because her husband Gabe is preoccupied, her children have to come in and help her, and they save her for the most part. Then they all come back and converse, discuss their next move, and they decide to go. As they go, they see the daughter, Sora's doppelganger. I love this facial expression of hers, this young actress's facial expression. Her facial expression is such a meme. It's like, I'm happy to be in a Jordan Peele movie. I enjoy this scene. Sora is so willing to drive and runs her own doppelganger over. Loved it, and sends her flying. And for some reason, Adelaide gets out, tries to converse with the doppelganger, and that was a bit sus to me. I'm like, stay with your children. Keep your eyes on your children. Earlier, she didn't do that with Jason. This is exactly why she was so sus to me. This is the same exact doppelganger that tried to hurt your own daughter. You don't want to interact with her. You do not like her. You shouldn't. So they leave. They run into Jason's doppelganger, but Adelaide's doppelganger is nowhere to be found. Of course, Jason, because he's smart, he figures it out. He figures that it's a trap. Earlier, we saw him in sync with his doppelganger. He knows he can control him. As he mirrors him, he's able to walk backwards, Jason is, and his own doppelganger walks backwards into the fire. But after that's done, Adelaide's doppelganger borrows Jason for a bit to lure Adelaide into the underground. And this was another sus thing to me. How did Adelaide know where to go? She knew to go to the Hall of Mirrors. She knew there was a door, secret door, and she knew to go into the boiler room area type place, and she knew to go down the escalator. It was just so sus to me. It was just like all sus. She sees her doppelganger, and the doppelganger explains how everyone got there, how humans put them there, how she wondered why she never had taken her with her, how they both couldn't live above ground together. And then they fight, and we see the different fighting styles. We see Adelaide's doppelganger is a bit sure of herself, and when she does pause, she pauses to contemplate her next move. It's precise. It's very sure of itself, the movements. And once Adelaide wins the fight, we notice Adelaide becoming a little erratic, a little off-hinged. And her own son Jason, when she finds him, he's all like, hon, I don't really know you anymore. I don't seem to know you. But he goes with her, and they leave. It's revealed Adelaide is not the one that was born above ground. She was the little girl that the real Adelaide that she just had taken out came from. She's not the real Adelaide. She's not the one that was born above ground. She was the one born underground, and she was the one that physically harmed the Adelaide from above and chose to chain her and leave her there. That was perplexing and a bit selfish to me, how she just left everyone else that was living in the underground knowing they were living in bad circumstances, and maybe she wanted the Adelaide from above ground to suffer as she probably suffered living in those conditions. And it was shared that she did suffer while she was there, but for way longer than she was even down there herself. My thing was that the real Adelaide, she just came and wanted to harm everyone, and not just the clone of her that had harmed her. She wanted to hurt everybody, and maybe because she felt that they purposely just chose ignorance and didn't help and didn't even try to investigate if there was anything down there. But the fact that she didn't organize everyone just to immerse themselves in society, and the fact that they didn't think to overtake the government, I can't. That should have been the first move. Maybe it was. At the same time, they don't really seem to have the resources to just take over the government all at once. They just go target their own selves, their other versions. It would have been way easier to, not to be an advocate for the untethering or anything, but they could have lured people down there and took them off one by one rather than just swarmed America all at once. It was very interesting. And the thing about this movie is, in that scene where mother decides to go to the bathroom, she asks her daughter to come with her. But the mother made it seem as if it was a question because she allowed the daughter to tell her no. Off. It shows something. The fact that the mother didn't check her when she said no to her joining her to go to the bathroom, that was a bit interesting to me. I couldn't relate my younger self to Adelaide in any way. It was very different than my upbringing. I understand people have different teaching, parenting styles, but I couldn't relate. I couldn't understand that. So of course, you leave opportunity for things to happen when you leave your child with an adult that's under the influence, doesn't really seem to care about his child more than his own desires and self-indulgence. But I thought this movie was really great. I really thought it was organized. It was very funny, and at times you were just so immersed in it. We have to give Lupita her props because she did this character. Like, look at the tears, the facial expressions, those movements. It impressed me beyond impressed me. And Jordan, he always impresses me with each of his movies. Like, they never disappoint. It was a really good movie. And that's just my take on it, but feel free to leave comments about your own perception of this movie and how you felt about it. That's all for today. Stay tuned.